All right. What's up, y'all? How you doing? Greetings. Welcome back to Black Bear News. I don't know. This is my temporary studio for the second, for the moment. I don't know. I didn't even think I was going to do a show today, but let's see. And I'm trying to figure out kind of a new setup. Same computer, but new setup. Anyways, it looks like nobody else was expecting me to do a show either. That's okay. But I did say I was going to be back on Friday, although some pretty intense things happened between Monday and Friday. So, yeah. I did post some videos so you guys know what happened to my house is no longer there. And you probably saw some photos. Oh, shoot. Do I not? I don't know if I don't have my phone. I might need my phone. Maybe not. Maybe I don't need my phone. Yeah, I didn't, was sitting on Tuesday night. I was sitting at my kitchen table, having some pizza and talking to my daughter, and I started getting texts from people like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And we started realizing that there was a fire on the mountain close to. Is anybody chatting at all? Because I cannot see anybody's chats. Maybe I don't know if I don't have any chats yet, or if somebody is. How did I get out? Well, I got my stuff. So what happened was I was sitting there, started to get some texts from people, and I was like, oh, there's a fire, like, kind of close to me. But the winds were just absolutely, as you guys saw, there were some amazing winds on Tuesday, and they were just howling winds. Hi, Kamashwari Kate. I see other people are watching, but I don't think anybody was expecting me to do a show today. It's all good. We'll do the show and just kind of update people. Um, but I was, yeah, so we saw the fire up on the hill, and it was pretty big, pretty large, and all my neighbors everybody was out in the street like, well, oh, what do we do? And I was like, there's no way this fire comes down this far off the mountain, because it never has. So there's been plenty of fires. I've lived here my whole life. I lived in the area, Pasadena, Altadena, my whole life, and I've seen a bunch of fires. And yes, some homes have been burned, but mainly homes that were burned were very, right next to the mountain. The ones that were, we're close to the mountain, but not right next to the mountain. So, um, I just, had never seen that happen. Never thought it would happen. I was pretty damn sure that it wouldn't happen. Um, but people were freaking out and leaving and getting their stuff and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, no way. And I actually went to sleep, and, I woke up at about 3 o'clock in the morning, and there was smoke, just thick blankets of smoke everywhere. And it was coming into the house, and I could, it was in the house, and I was like, oh crap. There's a lot of smoke in here. And I opened the door, there was a lot of smoke outside. I couldn't see any flames. And actually that is what scared me the most, was that I couldn't see any flames. I was like, well, this is, because the smoke was so thick. I was like, well, this is not a good time to stay. So, and the police were actually down the street on the loudspeaker saying, like, it's time to go. And so grabbed all my stuff, or grabbed the animals and put the animals in the car, and grabbed like a guitar and grabbed like my computer. And then I just vacated with, minimal stuff. I'd probably had time to throw things into the car. But I was just, the smoke was thick, and I was, in kind of a panic state. I'd just woken up. It was like 3 in the morning. I was kind of like panicked. And so, yeah, I just threw what I could in the car, bailed. I was like, oh, I'm just going to come back and grab my stuff. I'm just going to get out of the smoke and get away, and I'll come back in a couple hours and grab my stuff. And when, that morning we started seeing news broadcasts that there were houses burning that were south of my house. And I was like, oh, that is not good at all. So we made a beeline. We made a beeline for my house, and we, got in there, even though there were like fire trucks and police everywhere. And like, as I was driving down my street, the entire street was obliterated. There was not one house, there might've been one house, but there, all the houses were burned to the ground. And as I got close to my house, I realized, like, oh yeah, that's not there anymore. So yeah, so the Black Bear News Studio is, you will not have the same backdrop for these videos for, anymore at all, ever. And so, but yeah, I'm okay. Thanks, guys. I'm okay. My kid's okay. The animals are okay. My gear is not okay. My studio is not okay. My studio is gone. But I got just a ton of donations from people, that wanted to help out. And I, thank you guys. I have tried to go individually through every single one. If I could send people a message and, thank people for the donations, I've gone through all, tried to go through all of them and thank everyone. But, like everybody has donated in the last couple of days. And, thank you. A lot of people from the channel have donated. And I just want to thank everybody, again, for the support. Y'all are, just amazing. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out, obviously, I have a place to stay. I have a roof over my head. I have, food and some clothes, and, I'm not, I'm not in any imminent danger from the elements. I'm not, I'm not going to starve to death. I'm not going to, I'm not going to succumb to heat or cold. And I got, some nice, comfortable surroundings right now. So, I'm okay in the immediate. Uh, so I don't know. I guess trying to figure out what I'm going to do. Uh, you know, uh, Pretty much everything kind of stays the same. I'm not going to really be able to do music production right now. So my music production is kind of just at a complete standstill. Um, and that's where that is at. But I can still do Black Bear News shows, so I will continue to do the regular, as far as I can do it. I'll continue to do the regular time of noon Pacific during the weekdays, and we'll just go forward, as usual. Uh, um, but again, thank you guys for really. There was a huge outpouring of support, and a ton of people gave, and you know who you are. And I tried to get, if I didn't thank you, I'm thanking you now. I don't know that I can go back and individually thank everybody that donated. I can't even, there's so many people that donated. So I mean, it was overwhelming, just an avalanche of donations. Thank you guys. Thank you. You guys are, awesome, and I really appreciate it. And there is a GoFundMe. Extra Bulla was retweeting my GoFundMe link. If you, I'll put the link in if you guys want to go through there, or through any of the usual links are all there. But like, anyways, once again, thank you guys for all the donations. It's really, you know, I'm like, I'm overwhelmed by it. I'm gonna cry when I start thinking about it. Um, so thank you guys. So let's obviously this has been just like the top news story pretty much everywhere. I mean, if there was any other things people were paying attention to, they stopped paying attention to it and started paying attention to the fires. This has been really the focal point of everybody. There's no way that I'm going to cover all the things that I can cover, or that everybody has been covering, but we'll just try and go through and look at a few things today. And as things unfold, over the next week or two, we'll get into some. I mean, the conspiracy theories are flying. The blame, the finger pointing is at a record, is a fever pitch, and people do. There are people that need to accept some blame. I think for maybe some mismanagement for sure. As far as how the fires have been handled and what's going on, and people are trying to figure out, how the fire started. There's already evidence that the Southern California Edison didn't turn off the power when they should have. That we had extremely high winds. We had transformers blowing everywhere. We had there were power lines down. There was the winds were just absolutely incredible and insane. 80, 90, 100-mile-an-hour winds. Blowing down power lines and blowing down transformers, and if they didn't shut off the power or didn't manage that in a timely fashion, I mean, that's my first guess as to why. It seems like a pretty easy explanation as to why these fires started, was that the wind was blowing, it blew down some transformers blew, lines went down, sparks happened, fire started, right? That's pretty straightforward. I'm not saying I know. I'm just saying that's my theory on it. I think that's a pretty straightforward theory. By the way, can you guys hear me okay? I'm assuming that you can hear me. I'm just going through the computer. I don't have any like studio equipment, so I'm not, not using any mics or anything. But I'll get that together. Yeah, so now the process of trying to get don't know why I have screen share going on. Process of trying to get, insurance claims and federal assistance claims, and you know, already there are a ton of organizations out there. If you go to my Instagram page at kevinsandbloom, I'm trying to retweet other organizations that are helping people with disaster relief as much as I possibly can. So, yeah, okay, thanks, Gene. Yeah, we're live on Rockfin. Don't have a lot of Rockfin people right now, but it seems like mostly people are on YouTube. But we're on the usual channels: Rockfin, Rumble, YouTube. Yeah, there's a lot of people already jumping out with clothes and water and food and housing if people need housing. So, I know that some of my viewers are in Southern California, um, or maybe know people in Southern California who are being affected by the fire. So if you know anybody in need, anybody who needs to be directed to assistance, they can. You guys can message me. You can go to my Instagram page. Uh, there are a ton of people in Los Angeles on the Instagrams. Uh, I'm not seeing so many disaster relief things on Twitter, mostly on Facebook and Instagram, but there are just so many links and so many people out in the area. Pasadena, Altadena area, there are people donating clothes right now. People don't. They're delivering. If you need clothes, they will deliver you clothes. If you need water and food, they will deliver you water and food. There's centers set up where people can go and access the things they need. There are people donating hotel rooms to people. Airbnb is donating free shelter to people. So if anybody knows anybody in the area that needs assistance, if you are in the area and you need assistance, there's lots of links for that, lots of resources for that. So ooh, shoot, I didn't want to do that. I think thanks, DB Cooper. I appreciate that. I got a donation on Rockfin from DB Cooper. Thanks, man. Thanks. Thank you. So let's go through a couple of stories if we can, or just, kind of take our usual mosey through the news and interesting, try to find some interesting viewpoints, takes, videos, what have you. This is well, let's not. We are talking about, there is, this is it's funny and maybe not funny at all, but climate change is obviously happening. I think it's, I have said, I know I said recently that, climate change as a topic is very difficult these days, and it's almost, it has been driven into a point of kind of like uh, where it's just a subject that people don't take very seriously. But interestingly enough, I feel like these disasters it is really difficult to not have every single one of these disasters fall into an immediate conspiracy theory line of reasoning, right? Like the laser beams and the space lasers and the harps and the you know and that's what, that's all fine and well. There's actually some amazing footage of the Los Angeles fires that have kind of interesting, what people are calling UFO type movements in the smoke, and I have seen those videos, and they're very strange to me. And I am all ears. I'm open to all theories. You know, even among all theories, among the basic idea that, this is a climate change driven event. It's clear, right? Hurricane Helene and what happened in North Carolina, an obvious climate change driven event, right? And we're seeing these things happening all over the planet, Europe, China, Japan, everywhere. Everybody is being smacked around, um, by, extreme weather events, right? Whether it be flood, whether it be hurricanes, whether it be cyclones, whether it be tornadoes, whether it be drought, whether it be, we've had, what's up, Extra Bullet? Thank you. Thanks for retweeting that, man. I appreciate it. Um, exactly. Extra Bullet is saying that when I lived in Southern California, one year it was the wettest January on record, and the next year it was the driest, and that is exactly what is happening right now. Like we had 3 years in a row of like atmospheric rivers and extreme flooding and snow, and so since last May we have had almost no measurable amounts of rain, and it is, we're in kind of like a mini drought, and there's still no rain on the horizon. There's no rain in the forecast. We're experiencing what, for many years, 10 or 11 years ago, was called a resilient ridge or ridiculously resilient ridge. The weather pattern has set up in such a way that there is like no, weather systems are able to hit the coast, and there just is this, high pressure area that's keeping everything either, off the coast or north of California, and we just have had no rain. It's extremely dry here. And this is what happens every time we enter um, these kinds of conditions where you have very little rain, extremely high wind, um, and all you need is a spark for things to go up like a tinderbox, and it's exactly what happened. And man, there's so much discussion about the management of what is going on. People are blaming Karen Bass, Gavin Newsom, and I want to play an interesting video from uh, what's the other guy that was with Dr. Drew on the Love Line? I can't remember his name. I'll find the video. He's saying that Los Angeles is going to turn Republican because the way the Democrats are going to handle this is going to be so bad, or the way they've already handled it, and the way they are going to handle it is going to be so bad that people are going to lose all faith in the Democrat supermajority that they have. We'll see. Well, Deline, um, what happened a few years ago? It was about 3 or 4 years ago. There were huge fires in Santa Barbara. There's a like a mountain line across the coast. Right next to the coast. Um, they had huge wildfires in Santa Barbara. Everything burned, and literally 2 weeks later, we had intense rains, and then there were mudslides. So all the houses that weren't burned came down the mountain, and it was a mess. It was just it was absolutely brutal, right? Um, and I wouldn't doubt that happens, right? And when we do get rain, everything that has been burned, everything that is charred, and all the dirt and that's not being held back by trees and bushes and houses and everything is all going to slide down the mountain. That is absolutely a possibility. I'm going to stop talking and let's listen to Peter Kalmus. Peter Kalmus used to live in Altadena. He lived blocks away from me. He was my neighbor. He worked at JPL. I don't know if he still works for JPL, but you know who Peter Kalmus is. He's a climate change guy, but he moved out of Altadena. He's going to tell you why.
We're joined now by Peter Kalmus, climate activist, climate scientist at NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab. He's speaking on his own behalf, not on behalf of NASA. He's just written an opinion essay for the New York Times headlined, "I'm a Climate Scientist. I fled Los Angeles 2 years ago." He joins us now from Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Peter, thanks so much for joining us today. Explain why you fled Los Angeles 2 years ago.
Oh, Amy, I just have to take a moment to, I don't know what to say anymore. I'll get to that in a second, but I just want to make sure, the reason I wrote the piece was because we have to acknowledge that this is caused by the fossil fuel industry, which has been lying for almost half a century, blocking action. They're on the record saying that they will continue to spread disinformation and continue to attempt to block action. They've known the whole time that the planet would get hotter like this and that impacts like this fire would happen. And then a point I really wanted to make in the piece, which they wouldn't let me make, is that this is still just the beginning. It's going to get way worse than this. 2 years ago, 2020, when that Bobcat fire happened, the whole time I was living in Altadena, it was getting hotter and more fiery and drier and smokier, and it just didn't feel like I could stay there. Like I could, so when you have a trend line, things getting worse every year, right? Like, where's the point where it breaks? Like you keep going, you keep pushing the system, getting hotter and hotter, getting drier and drier, right? Like emitting more and more carbon dioxide from burning fossil fuels. Eventually, things break. I didn't expect my neighborhood to burn this soon.
Explain what's happened, Peter, in Altadena, in the town that you left.
It's complete devastation. I mean, your audience probably has seen some of the images. The neighborhood I lived it's gone. I would say the majority of my friends have lost their homes there. Every now and then there's a home that's still standing amidst the ashes and the devastation. I don't even know what kind of rebuilding after this is going to look like and feel like. I don't know how this is going to affect the housing market, the insurance industry going forward. It's the thing, again, I think everyone needs to understand, and I wish the New York Times would have let me make this point, that this is going to get worse. I can see that today just as clearly as I could see how a hotter and drier and more fiery Los Angeles was getting. I mean, I think in the future, if we don't change course very quickly, and maybe it's even too late to avoid some of these much more catastrophic impacts. But I'm fully expecting heat waves to start appearing where 100,000 people die, and then maybe 1 million people die, and then maybe more after that as things get hotter and hotter, because there's no upper limit, right? Like we keep burning these fossil fuels. Fossil fuel industry keeps lying. The planet just keeps getting hotter. These impacts just keep getting worse. It's not a new normal. A lot of climate messaging centers around this idea that it's a new normal. It's a staircase to a hotter, more hellish Earth. And a lot of climate impact predictions have erred on the side of least drama. It's hard for even scientists to wrap our heads around how everything is changing right now on planet Earth. No matter where you look, the indicators, when spring comes, how hot the winter is, habitats that are moving, ice that's melting. Everywhere you look in the Earth system, including, of course, ocean temperatures and land surface temperatures, you're just on this trend towards a hotter planet and all the impacts that are associated with it. And I don't know what it's going to take for us to stop all these stupid wars and come together and actually deal with the emergency that our planet is in the process of becoming less and less habitable, and everything that means. We humanity, we've got a real crisis here, and we're ignoring it. another paragraph they took out of the piece, both the Democratic presidents, Obama and President Biden, they were very proud to expand fossil fuels. President Obama said, all that oil and gas expansion, that was me, people, right after he was done being president at a lecture he gave at Rice University. And now, of course, we have a Republican president coming into office who says this is a hoax, who's gaslighting the people who are following him. Like, I don't know how long it's going to take for conservative working class people to believe what's right in front of their eyes, that the planet is getting hotter and that we have to come together and stop listening to these clowns who say it's a hoax. I mean, look at it's all around us. Why do I have to be on Democracy Now! Saying this? Right? It's very obvious what's happening.
Well, Peter, we thank you for being with us. We're so sorry about what's happening there in your community and all over Los Angeles. And of course, we're talking about a heating world, so around the world. And we hope to have you on next week. Peter Kalmus is a
my heart breaks for all the victims too. It's just, I can't wrap my head around what's happening.
Peter.
Okay, so yeah, pretty straightforward, pretty good analysis from Peter Kalmus, who escaped the fires by moving out early. I don't know where he moved to. I saw a post from him saying that he didn't live, that he lived somewhere else. If anybody knows where he moved to, that would be interesting. Yeah, Lee, thanks for that, Bella, Lee Sklar. I didn't know that he had. I'm going to check that video out. I got it up here. I'm not going to play it. Well, maybe I'll play a second.
Boy, after all that joy of New Year's with the floats and all the festivities, this nightmare that's taking place here in Southern California is just beyond scope. It's beyond comprehension. I so appreciate all of the messages I've been sending, people asking, are we okay? Is Maureen okay? Are the puppies okay? Are you okay? I mean, from everywhere from Brazil to Poland. I mean, it's really an incredible community that we have. And I just wanted to give you an update as of right now. The night, 2 nights ago, when the real horrible winds came through our area in Pasadena, it was like a hurricane. There were gusts of wind that were upwards of 80 to 90 miles an hour. So once a fire started, you have that kind of wind blowing, and it just carries the embers as far and wide. I'm really congested because right now there's so much particulates in the air. There's just a constant kind of almost rain.
He's in North Carolina, Peter Kalmus. Is that right? Peace and Pocket. Wow. Well, I wasn't. So you guys can go watch this video. It's in the link there is in the chats. I was planning on playing some other thing. I want to watch this. I'm sure he's just describing his experience with it, and I have limited time, so I'm going to have to just kind of move through some different posts here.
Raining of
I do want to watch this. Maybe we'll come back around to it. I'll leave it up. People are really upset by the response. There's the stories of no water in the reservoirs, and some people are saying that's not true. But I don't know. There's been such widespread reporting of it, and people actually responding to. What I mean is officials like Los Angeles, fire department officials and people who are involved in the rescue efforts, responding to the claims of as if it actually was a thing that was happening. So they were saying, some people are saying there was plenty of water, but that they just couldn't pump it fast enough. And but let's see. I want to find this one post here. seems to corroborate the claim that there was Pacific. So this is from the LA Times, which I don't know if they're going to let me read it. Pacific Palisades Reservoir was offline and empty when the fire. So, this actually kind of backs up the idea that there wasn't water ready and available for firefighting. I hate you, Times. Nobody cares. Anyways, we'll see if we can get a little bit of this. A large reservoir in Pacific Palisades, as part of the Los Angeles water supply system, was out of use when a ferocious wildfire destroyed thousands of homes and other structures nearby. Officials told the Times that the San Ynez Reservoir had been closed for repairs to its cover, leaving a 117 million gallon water storage complex empty in the heart of the Palisades. Revelation comes among growing questions about why firefighters ran out of water while battling the blaze. Numerous fire hydrants and higher elevation streets of the Palisades went dry, leaving firefighters struggling with low water pressure as they combated the flames. Department of Water Power officials said that demand for water during an unprecedented fire made it impossible to maintain any pressure to hydrants at high elevation. So, had this reservoir been operable, it would have extended water pressure in the Palisades on Tuesday night. So, I'm hearing reports of there being no water, mostly in the Palisades area. I didn't really hear that being the case in the Altadena area. One of the bigger issues was just the fact that they were overwhelmed. The firefighters and the police were just overwhelmed. In fact, a lot of people, where I was at, we were able to get up to my house, even though the fire was an active fire area. They just didn't have the manpower or the presence to keep people out. So people were walking all over the place. People were taking pictures. People were, I was able to get to my house, and there was, it was an active, you had to be careful. You had to drive through down power lines and, telephone poles on fire. And there were houses on fire. There was fire everywhere, smoke everywhere. It was very smoky. It was very, it was a treacherous situation. And, but I wanted to, I was trying to just get up to my house to see if there was anything left to salvage or if I could grab something out of there. But there was, by the time I got up there, it was all over. The situation was, as was the newsroom clip. Once the house is burned down, the situation is over, right? And that's what it was. The situation was over. Anyways, people are upset at the people in charge who seem to not really be, not taking care of the situation. This is interesting. From Film the Police, this is how to defeat Karen Bass, the current mayor of Los Angeles, who was not even in the country when this started happening. And she just doesn't seem very. She was reading. There's another clip of her reading a statement about relief, and she was trying to read a website, but just said URL. She said you can go to the website URL. There's no website URL. She didn't have the website. She couldn't, give anybody the actual website. So she didn't seem to be very together. We're going to watch this. This is somebody taking her to task for her response or preparations or preparedness, or just a general statement to the people.
Madam Mayor, have you nothing to say today? Have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today? Elon Musk says that you're utterly incompetent. Are you considering your position? Madam Mayor, have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today who are dealing with this disaster?
It seems fairly bizarre that she's not, even addressing what he's saying, and she, eventually just
no apology for them. Do you think you should have been visiting Ghana while this was unfolding back home? Madam Mayor, let me ask you just again, have you anything to say to the citizens today as you return?
I mean, just some kind of statement of sympathy, support. We're on this. We're taking care of it. We're doing all we can. Anything, anything at all. Anything that a politician is, these are things that politicians, at least, I dislike Gavin Newsom to the core. And I'm going to play a video of him also not looking very competent in his response. And people are pissed. People are mad. Let me tell you that people are upset. And again, Los Angeles is a very historically predominantly liberal city, and one of the most liberal states of the country, and people are so pissed that I see people sharing kind of more, very harsh, very judgmental, posts and ideas, from people that are people would call right wing. I see liberal friends of mine sharing these posts that are just saying, that are from more, non-liberal entities, taking these leaders to task. And I see that there is a sentiment of dissatisfaction and distrust among the people about how the leaders are handling this. Let's look at this from a response from Gavin Newsom, but it's the questions too. This woman seems rightfully and visibly upset about what is going on.
Governor, you got a second? Governor, I live here, Governor. That was my daughter's school, Governor. Please tell me what you're going to do. I'm not going to hurt him, I promise.
I'm literally talking to the president right now to specifically answer the question of what we can do for you and your daughter.
Can I hear it? Can I hear your call? Because I don't believe it.
I'm sorry. There's literally, I've tried 5 times. That's why I'm walking around to make the
call. Why is the president not taking your call?
Because it's not going through. So
why?
I have to get cell service.
So let's get it. Let's get it. I want to be here when you call the president.
I appreciate it. I'm doing that right now. And it's to immediately get reimbursements, individual assistance, and to help you. I'm devastated for you. I'm so sorry, especially for your daughter. I have 4 kids. Losing
everyone who went to school there, they lost their homes. They lost 2 homes because they were living in one and building another. Governor, please tell me, what are you going to do with the president right now?
We're getting the resources to help rebuild.
Why was there no water in the hydrants, Governor?
That's all literally.
Is it going to be different next time?
It has to be. Has to be. Of course.
What are you going to do? To fill the hydrants. I would fill them up personally. You know that. I would fill up the hydrants myself. But would you do that?
I would do whatever I can.
But you're not. I see do you know there's water dripping over there, Governor? There's water coming out there. You can use it.
I appreciate it. I'm going to make the call to address everything I can right now, including making sure people are safe.
I'd like to make sure you do. Can I have an opportunity to at least tell people you're doing what you're saying you're doing? Could somebody have a contact? Can I have your contact information?
Right there.
So that wasn't really a sufficient, answer. He didn't have any answers. At least he talked to her, So he did more than Karen Bass as far as trying to, give some kind of assuagement. Sandy's having Carolyn Baker on tonight. Okay. But it doesn't look good. It doesn't, he looks inept, incompetent, and I feel like Gavin Newsom is on the same trajectory as Justin Trudeau. Like, I don't know how he's still governor because people really don't like him that much, but and he was actually recalled, just 2 years ago. And he won that recall, and a lot of people had questions about how he won that recall. But I feel like, his days are numbered. I don't know if you can. Enough people call for him to resign and get out of there. I could see him doing, pulling a Justin Trudeau. Like, this is it. This is the end for me. This is what's this guy's Adam Carolla? That's right. It took me a while to remember Adam Carolla's name. This is Adam Carolla talking about the dissatisfaction of the general people, the general populace in Los Angeles, maybe to such a degree that they turn their affiliation to another party. And not that it matters, right? Because what did we just see? We saw everybody so frustrated with the Democrats that they elected Trump. And I don't know that is going to change the course of anything, right? Obviously, the people that do understand what's going on, understand that this is a false, he's a false savior, a false idol, if you will. He's not, he's not the rebel that he paints himself as. And so, I don't know that a red wave or a Republican wave is going to make any difference. But this is Adam Carolla giving people a little bit of a take on what he sees as the dissatisfaction of the general populace turning against the Democrats.
The guys who lost their $20 million homes on the ocean side of PCH will be knee deep in the permit process. They will be trying to pull permits when the guys in the Winnebagos will have been back for months before those guys ever get a permit. As a matter of fact, good fucking luck, because here's the deal. Alan Hamill and Suzanne Summers moved because they could not get a permit to rebuild their home of 40 years on the ocean on PCH, right? So here's what's going to happen. Let me just give you guys a little primer of what's going to happen. You know how Bill Maher seems real conservative now when he's like arguing with Jane Fonda about regulations, too many regulations, like strangling everything? Because remember, when Bill Maher tried to put solar in his house in Beverly Hills, that's when he turned against the government, because he saw what the government and the overreach of government and overregulation does. He got strangled. It took him 3 years to build a solar shack. He had a whole countdown on his show, day 1,000 since I've got my permit for my solar. He turned. Okay. The people who live in Malibu, who live in Santa Monica, who live in the Palisades, those are some of the most progressive blue voters in the world, or in the United States. They are a bastion of blue. So what those guys did is, all the people in the Palisades, I checked it out. It's about 80% blue, 80% progressive, 80% Democrat. Now, these pussies are all sitting around crying about Karen Bass, water pressure. How come the forest wasn't cleared of all the brush? What's happening with the infrastructure? You guys all voted for Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles. You all voted for Gavin Newsom. And now you fucking get what you get. Oh, now that your house is on fire, well, now you're thinking about something else. Now you want to know what's going on. What's going on around here? You didn't give a shit about what was going on when other people's houses were on fire, but now you care. So here's what's going to happen. All these people who were deep blue Democrats are now going to have to pull a permit to rebuild. And they're going to get the 28-year-old bitch from the Coastal Commission telling them to go fuck off. And then they're going to vote for Trump or whoever's Trumpian next. You see, they're going to get turned. They're going to get turned hard because, as I've always said, live in the rent control apartment in Santa Monica, fine, good. We know how you vote. Go deal with the city. Try to pull a permit. These are going to be thousands of homes, super wealthy people, and these people don't want to live in Van Nuys. They like it where they are. They love Malibu. They love the Palisades. They love Santa Monica. There's going to be a whole bunch of rich people, and they're going to go, I'm rebuilding, and I want to rebuild as fast as I can. And between the part where they go in to planning commission and plan check and initially and try to pull a permit to the time the first load of lumber, the first load of 2x4s is dropped off on their lot where their house formerly stood, it's going to be 3 years.
Yeah.
And 1,000 permits and 1,000 arguments.
I was telling people this. It's going to be years. And that's true. What he's saying right there is absolutely true. Okay, it's too long to play the rest of it, but you get the idea. People are going to get frustrated, and they're going to be like, okay, screw these people. But like that, But 3 years from now, people's memory is so short, and people just care about what's happening in the moment. And 3 years from now, people are just going to be worried about whatever is going on in the moment, Sure, these people will be frustrated and upset. But again, the choice you're going to get between, what you had and what the alternative is literally no choice, right? It's the same corporate-backed uniparty bullshit, right? Like you're not going to get a legitimate, we are different, you're not going to get a legitimate, we're going to do not like legitimate populism, right? Like we're going to do something for you. We're actually going to do it. We're actually going to rearrange the government in a way so that it actually works less for the corporations and the wealthy and more for the regular person. Oh yeah. Hold on one second. All right, there's so much to cover, guys. I don't know that I'm going to be able to get to all these links today, but we'll go over a little bit to try and at least cover a few stuff. Okay, so Jason Hickel, we're going to stay on the topic of climate change. Climate crisis reveals that our civilization has never really been organized around science. Ding, ding, ding. Contrary to the usual Enlightenment narrative, it is organized around capital. Science is embraced when it serves the interests of capital. It is often ignored when it does not. That is an exceptionally precise observation. This man has a pretty precise observation talking about, we're still in the topic of climate change, but he's talking about taking over Greenland, and you can include Canada in that too. And you can include, whatever else. So they're pushing for a greater, as the Greater Israel project gets rolling, Trump is coming in and immediately pushing the North American Union project, right? Which is a thing. But he's talking about, this individual is talking about why we might be interested in Greenland. Let's listen to him.
I don't know why everyone is so baffled by the incoming vice president's obsession with Greenland and Canada. It's really very simple. While he publicly derides climate change as a hoax, privately, he's a believer. He knows it's happening. And he knows that once all that ice melts up in Greenland.
Let me tell you why he knows it's happening. Because they're building a seawall in Scotland around his golf course. Because why? Because the sea level is just staying the same. They need a seawall. He lives in Florida. He absolutely knows that climate change is happening. Anyways.
It's going to expose vast mineral resources ripe for the taking. Greenland is already known to have huge fields of oil and natural gas that haven't been explored. And lying beneath that ice, which has been there for about 10,000 years, are thought to be huge resources of precious metals, gold and silver, platinum and palladium, lithium. He wants to get his hands on those. And similarly, as the United States becomes more arid while climate change proceeds, Canada becomes much more temperate, which makes it more suitable for the growing of corn and wheat. So what we're talking about here is a good old-fashioned land grab, something the United States used to do 150 years ago, back in the days of banana republics and gunboat diplomacy, when they would park a battleship off the coast of a Central American country and threaten to bombard them if they didn't toe the line. So we're not moving forward as a nation. We're moving backwards. We're becoming less civil. We're becoming dumber. We're becoming more belligerent. We're like a trailer park with nuclear weapons. It's wrong, it's embarrassing, and it's stupid. But that pretty much describes the incoming vice president and his supporters. Wrong, embarrassing, and stupid. And you can expect a lot more of that over the next 4 years, but you can also expect me to be reminding you relentlessly of just how wrong, embarrassing, and stupid those people are, because I like doing it.
All right. He's not talking about apparently they're very serious about making the North American Union thing happen sooner than later. It seems like a crazy idea, but I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if they were seriously like, well, sure, Canada will be the 51st state, or sure, they were. Trump is already threatening Denmark to give up Greenland, like threatening them with sanctions or tariffs, whichever. They're the same, right? Something like that. Let's keep going. Let's see. Trying to get a bit of a line. So to pick, Adam Carolla, the video I just played about him saying that there's going to be a red wave and deeply blue Los Angeles, maybe, but there needs to be another wave, a different wave, right? Like a populist wave that isn't like a fake populist wave. Eventually, one day, perhaps when people break free of this, libertarianism is the way out mentality. And it's been kind of like, I feel like anarchists, now it's been, I listen, I have nothing against anarchism or the anarchist movement or the volunteerism movement. But I get that there are people are trying to be honest actors who back these ideas. But the problem is that it's the same basic premise as libertarianism, which is, hands off my stuff. The government can't do anything right. So let's deregulate, defund, take all the energy out of changing the system into a system that serves people, right? Like this is what the libertarian propaganda from Rush Limbaugh all the way forward, all the way through all of the alternative journalists, by the way. All the alternative journalists are all echoing. They're just all echoing the ghost of Rush Limbaugh, right? They're all just like libertarianism, little, small government. And that's fine. I get it. Some regulations are ridiculous and horrible, and you don't want the government intruding into every single little thing. But listen, the reason why the government is doing that is because people feel like they don't have any say in how the government works, right? Everything has been getting worse. Why is everything getting worse? Because for the last 30 or 40 years, the Jason, all Heritage Foundation, all the right-wing think tanks have done a really good job of propagandizing people into the idea that government is bad, that you don't have any agency, that you can't change anything, that you can't push your government to be better or do better, right? You just keep on, just vote for red or blue, and in between the elections, just hang out and hope things get better, and don't organize and don't unionize and don't push and don't get in front of the White House or the Capitol and push. Like, don't take any actions, just sit back and just wish for smaller government. That's all you can do. And that things have been getting progressively worse because people have been told that it doesn't matter what you do, you don't have any agency. And that's absolutely bullshit. That is absolutely false. That is absolutely wrong. I will argue down anybody who wants to, throw that like, just take all, yes, taking your energy out of the system. Sure. That would be great. But guess what? People are not going to do that as individuals. People are not going to do that like voluntarily. People are trying to survive, right? You're still going to have to organize. You're still going to have to put some energy in organizing people in order to even boycott, right? I was reading the Michael Campy's piece, which is a great piece, right? And I love the idea of like everybody, getting together to take energy out of the system. But guess what? People have a lot invested in the system, and the system has a lot invested in the system, right? And I feel like it always comes down to the truism of power concedes nothing without a demand, right? You are never, and if you give up your agency, if you just think like, well, I'm just not going to participate, man, I'm just going to not fucking do anything, bro. Like, it gets worse. It gets worse because the people who, have all the fucking psychopathic energy of like, well, I'm going to just take over shit, right? These people don't care. These people are just standing around like doing nothing. They don't give a shit. Like, I'm going to get in there with all my moneyed interests and all my, horrible energy and get in and make things worse, right? And take over and give everything away to the corporations and give everything away to the military industrial complex and, right, deregulate everything so that, the corporations have free will and you just get less and less and less and less. That's, if you want to make America great again, is all about, people at one time, we had more socialist. Sorry to tell you, that's exactly what it is. More socialist policies, more policies that were in place to protect people from these ravenous maw of capitalism, right? There was a time when we had, tax rates of 90%. Okay, I'm going to play this right here. This is proving my point. This is, bolstering my point. Anyways. Make America Great is trying to tell people like, man, remember when things were good, when, workers had it good and, there were unions and people made real money and there was manufacturing and, right. These were things that were like brought about under a socialist president, several socialist presidents in a row, socialist presidents in a row. And even the Republican presidents at the time were way more left than than even the Democrat presidents of now, right? The Republican presidents of 40 years ago were left of Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, Joe Biden, right? They are all to the right of Richard Nixon, right? So why did that happen? Why was all that happening? because people were so pissed. People were so pissed. They didn't just opt out of the system. They fucking organized. They got together. They staged and waged bloody battles, bloody union battles, bloody civil rights battles, bloody battles for, equality and some kind of protection from the oligarchs. So we had a 90% tax rate. We had unions. We had strong unions. We had, strong pay. We had, free college. We had, and ever since then, the oligarchs have been trying to figure out a way to get back all the stuff that, they thought was theirs. And guess what? Now we're at the end. Now we're at the end road of that propaganda movement. And it's been very effective. And I turn on every alternative media channel and they're like, well, hey, we got to get rid of the government. Thanks again, Rush Limbaugh, for that, because your ghost lives on in every single fucking alternative media, fucking pundits, just take your energy out, bro. It'll be fine. No, dude, it's not going to be fine. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. You're going to have to do something. We're all going to have to do something. Sorry. Let's watch this. Sorry, that's the way it is. We're all going to have to do something. You're going to be pushed to the point where we're all going to have to get together and do something. Sorry, it's not going to work. You're still going to have to organize people to get together to take their energy out of the system, and that's doing something, right? Anyways, and then you have an organization. That's kind of government, right? Like in the end, it's all government. So I just, people, even if we balkanize into little tiny regions of the United States, and the United States isn't United States anymore, all those regions are going to be organized around something which is called government. Okay, you're going to have, whether it's community leaders or citizens assemblies, those are all governments. You're going to have to say, change the government, switch the government up, force the government, push the government to be better. You're not going to just go, man, no government. I'm dumbfounded every single day on why people can't fucking figure this out. Anyways, let's watch this from David Sirota. Well, Adam McKay was retweeting David Sirota, but this is somebody talking about, hey, you know what? We could do things that we did before that were really effective, but we're not doing now. And it seems to be going the other direction. And it's going to keep going the other direction. Why? Because, well, Trump is president now. And it's going to go in the other direction as fast as possible, right? And Biden was like, I'm not holding anything up from it going in that direction. I don't really care. Anyways.
Once you get above a certain level of wealth, you get no incremental happiness. So why on earth would you not go back to a tax policy of the 60s, 70s, and 80s, where, say, above, pick a big number, 10 million, you actually pay more than 10%, maybe more than 20%, maybe more than 50%, because the difference between 30,000 a year for a household and 50,000 is enormous to the well-being of that household. Low-income kids in low-income households have higher resting blood pressure, but the difference between making 10 million a year and 15 million a year offers you no happiness. But these individuals have weaponized government, and we risk revolution, whether it's CEOs being murdered in the street, whether it's a Me Too movement that had righteous components of it, or Black Lives Matter. What are these movements? They are targeting the wealthy. We are in the midst of a series of small revolutions to correct.
Unfortunately, not really. They're not really targeting the wealthy, but, he's got a little bit of it right.
Income inequality. And the reason we put an insurrectionist and a rapist in office is because for the first time in our nation's history, a 30-year-old man or woman isn't doing as well as his or her parents were at 30. Why? Because the majority of households are having the oxygen sucked out of the room, such that a small number of individuals.
I'm just gonna interject. He misses the idea that Black Lives Matter, Me Too is actually about targeting another enemy other than the ruling class, right? It's like, those people are bad. We're, stop oppressing me, my neighbor, right? Which is, fine. if that's how you feel, you know, like the general premise of it, I don't have, you know, I understand. But the whole point of those movements is to take energy and focus off of the enemies, the people that are truly don't fucking give a shit about you, and that is the people in charge, right? It's about, like, you know, the Me Too movement is about, well, men are oppressing women. The Black Lives Matter is, well, white people suck. No, the rich people, it's the rich people that are keeping you down. They love these movements because they divert attention away from the actual things that are going on. So he's kind of off base. But, you know, the idea about, you know, a wealth tax, shit, we need a maximum wage. We need a minimum wage and we need a maximum wage, right? Like, first of all, the minimum wage should be $30 an hour. The maximum wage should be, like, if you make more than 100,000, no more. And that's for everybody, anybody and everybody. My God, what would the world look like if nobody can make more than $100,000 a year or 200,000? Let's be generous, $200,000 a year. If you can't live on $200,000 a year, there's something wrong with you. Nobody deserves more than that. That's, you know, I'm sorry, I'm standing on that. I'm fucking standing on that. If you can't live on $200,000 a year, you're a psychopath, and you don't. And nobody needs to have that much power or that much money. Anyways,
And a small number of companies can be worth more than nation states. Income inequality is out of control. Our tax policy has gone full oligarch.
All right. Well, you know, he mostly had it right. Whatever. Okay, guys, man, I had so much to talk about today. Trying to see if there's something I really need to play before I leave. I'll be back. I might do another show this weekend, but if I don't, I'll do one on Monday, and we'll talk more about this. I'm sorry if I, you know, feeling a little bit. Had some coffee, and then I had some things to say. This is 15-second video clip serves as a metaphor for the culmination of the last half century of American-led fossil fuel-driven neoliberal capitalism. And this is actually the corner of Altadena and Washington in Pasadena. This is a couple miles from my house. And this is one of the first places that went up. And fortunately, some good friends of mine live, you know, very close to here. Guys, thank you for tuning in. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you. I'm going to have to stop the show here and move on to some other things in my day, just because it's getting late and I have a lot of things to handle and take care of in the immediate. And there was a lot of things I, you know, wanted to cover and say today, but we'll do it. Maybe we'll do another show this weekend. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and to everybody who donated over the last couple of days. Thank you. Thank you, Bella. I appreciate you, brother. You know, I have so many people donate. I can't even name everybody who donated because I got a lot of donation. Thank you, guys. I really, really appreciate it. It is really, really helpful. All of it helps. I thank you. I don't know if anybody donated today. I can't really. Well, DB Cooper donated on Rockfin today. If you donated on YouTube, I can't see it unless you tell me that you donated. So if somebody sent a super chat, you know, let me know. Give me like 30 seconds and I'll go get my phone and I'll see if I have anybody else to thank. Hold on. I don't know where my. Okay. All right. I thought I lost my phone. Sorry. Hold on, guys. I don't really know. It's hard to see if anybody. Somebody supported me on Ko-Fi. I can't see who it is, but whoever donated on Ko-Fi, thank you. I appreciate you. I lost my audio interface. Yeah, Bella, I lost everything: microphones, audio interface. Gosh, I had keyboards and pianos, and like drum set. I had a lot of stuff, But I'm working on getting those replaced, and I think people are working on help. I think people are helping me out with that, but I don't, I haven't really not specifically talked to anybody about it. But yeah, I lost like all of my music gear, all of it, every single scrap of it. Whoever supported on Ko-Fi, thank you. I can't see it. And I don't know if I have any others. But thank you guys, everyone who contributed. I really appreciate you. I know that Bella contributed. Rick, thank you. Rick Lefebvre, I think you're watching. Thanks for the contribution. Paul Murphy, thank you for the contribution. So many people donated on Venmo. I can't even really see everybody that donated on Venmo. Jonathan Bailey, just a bunch of people. I can't even name all the people that donated. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. Okay, I think that's it, guys. I will see you. I might pop up this weekend, but if I don't, I'll see you on Monday at 12 p.m. Pacific. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Enjoy your weekend, and you know the deal. Until next time, peace.